In this video we're going to continue the journey of our algae adventures in our two Algae Scopoline 60s. So yesterday we dosed some API fix and I can see some algae is turning pink already, which is a sign that it's dying off. So that is a good sign. The plants are still pearling, so they're clearly not dying, so that's a good sign as well. Shrimp look happy, very colourful in fact, so that's a good sign. All the fish look happy. So there is some more maintenance to do, continue cleaning the glassware, filter, pre-filters, etc. But excitingly, I have some new plants. Because of the uprooting of the plants last week or so ago, I have got a couple more pots of the Eleocharis Persilla from Tropica, a pot of Hydrocotyle tripartita for the scopoline there on the left, to fill in that left-hand gap where I took out the Schismatoglottis. I will siphon off the remaining loose soil, clean the glass again around here, and plant the Hydrocotyle tripartita in the open soil on the left. I think that's going to create a beautiful texture in combination with the Helanthrium tenellum green. We do have some of the Hemianthus micranthomoides in the background, common name pearlweed. I'm just going to let that grow and form a large biomass to help combat the algae. Clean the pipes, clean the hoses, clean the pre-filters, trim the stems to keep it looking more attractive. I'm just going to leave the algae and let the chemical deal with it to see how effective it is. And then I'm going to plant Eleocharis Persilla. So when I'm finished, it should look this pair of aquariums. I'll do a before and after, and you can see development in the overall progress of the aquascapes. Okay guys, so that's the two tanks maintained. Algae is already on its way out. I think I'll do a second treatment on the next water change, probably tomorrow. So again, drain it right down, expose the algae, pipette the APT fix on it. And then it'll be a case of monitoring all of the other components that can potentially lead to the algae. Previous video we talked a lot about light and nutrients, and thank you to all of the comments about suggestions around balances between nitrogen and phosphorus, for example. So a lot of you suggesting maybe dose more phosphate or use phosphate remover, or at least find out what's going on with the levels. So you know, it's really interesting. We'll go into a bit of a story time, shall we? When I first started writing for Practical Fish Keeping magazine in 2006, one of the first articles I wrote about was around the use of dry chemicals, estimative index style of fertilising, which is deliberately overdosing all of the nutrients, so NPK, which is nitrate, phosphate and potassium, and also micronutrients, so iron and all of the others. So deliberately highly dosing these every day switching between macro and micronutrients and then doing a big water change every week. And the principle here is that we're bombarding all of the plants with so many nutrients that they're completely satisfied. They therefore grow very healthily and therefore don't give algae a chance because they're so healthy. And then what happens is the weekly water change, the weekly large water change, resets those nutrient levels every week to ensure the nutrient levels don't creep up. And the whole principle behind it was that you don't need a test kit because you're overdosing so much, then you're resetting the levels every week, so you never have to test your water. But it would be interesting to know, wouldn't it, what our nitrate and phosphate levels were. And I'll do a little bit of research because things have moved on. This is, 2006 is 17 years ago. So things have moved on considerably in the fertilisation regime world. But that's the principle that I've always used. I haven't necessarily used dry chemicals. I've used either Tropica, specialised nutrition, or more recently APT3 complete, also the Algae Attack range. But they all operate on the same principle of giving the plants more than enough nutrients and then diluting it with a weekly water change. The caveat there may be the APT complete, which is more of a lean dosing system, I believe, designed for soil-based substrates. So a little bit of a tangent there on fertilisation, but it could, that nitrate phosphate may influence our algae. Specifically, we've got a lot of staghorn and blackbeard algae. So if you've got any other ideas, I do read all the comments, I do appreciate them, thank you. We're not getting so much light now from the skylights, hopefully. The mini heat wave that we've had is died down, because that will impact algae. Warmer water does tend to increase algae. They're looking good, they look really good from a distance, and then the closer you look, the more algae you see, and the more you think something isn't quite right. And that's always the niggle, isn't it? How much of that voice in your head, if things aren't quite right, can you put up with before you actually take real action in order to fix the problem? And we can apply that to all areas in our lives, can't we? Carried on from the last video, basically, of treating the algae with the APT fix. Seems to be doing its job. Talked about pills versus skills, so using a medicine, so to speak, like APT fix, rather than using skills, but we're using both. We're using our knowledge of the hobby, like nutrients, how the equipment works together, how to grow plants, in combination with the pills, So I think we should be okay. Just keep focusing on the tanks, observe them. Very lucky to live day by day with these at the moment, not travelling so much, although I'm going to Tropica next week, which I'm excited about. We will keep an eye on these. They are going to be on their own actually next week, so I'll give them special care and attention this week, and then we'll talk about what I do while I'm away from the tanks for anything more than a few days. So I do make a few changes here and there, and then I desperately need to maintain the cichlid tank, and possibly the next video will be a deep dive on my room divider cichlid tank, which will be exciting. Look forward to bringing that one to you soon. I'll see you then. Take care. Cheerio.